Hey dudes, Kaiji Nikki here again. I'm just talking to myself today. I've got some guitar strings that need changing, and I thought rather than just sit by myself and do it, might as well just talk to myself and get the job done. If anyone wants to chime in at any time, feel free. Otherwise, yeah, I'm just going to be here. I don't really know how much I'll be talking, getting the job done. If I'm too quiet or anything, just speak up. It's all good. Let me know what's going on. Otherwise, we'll just begin. Gotta start up. So naturally, I put next to no forethought into this and just thought, oh yeah, it'll all happen good. However, I will find very soon that I had pretty much nothing organized to get it done. And I'm still... There we go. That'll be better. This will work out nicely. So still unprepared. Still not doing a very good job. This guitar of mine has a locking nut at the top. If you don't know about guitars, that means that right near the head of it, where all the strings end up, you know, where the brand name usually is, you can lock it down so that the strings stay in tune better. And this is usually for guitars that have whammy bars and stuff, which this one certainly does. So we gotta unlock that first before we can do anything. And now that that is done, all I'm gonna do, tune the strings down. I don't know if you can hear that. Get them down so we can loosen them up, so we can cut them so that they don't go flying all around. This one's not that important. This is the one that snapped. I'm changing them because a string snapped. I like to use long life strings. They usually last a long time. Well, it's in the name, isn't it? But they last extra long for me. I usually find that I can go months, or in lucky cases, I gotta pay attention here, I'm sorry. No, opposite way on this side. Nothing's worse than when you think you're making a string lower, but you're actually twisting it higher. And it just goes snap anyway. Very low stakes, but it's a nasty surprise nonetheless. Doesn't that sound good? Just getting this down. That's the way. Down, down, down. So yeah, using long life strings, they last ages, because I'm pretty fortunate. I'm not a very sweaty person, and that's usually what makes strings go bad. Playing heaps, wearing them out, the sweat makes them rust over time. So some people who aren't as fortunate as I am will have to change them pretty often, in terms of like weeks or even days in terrible cases. So luckily that's not me. I do have a few guitars as well, definitely too many. And so I like to mix it up because I like them all. That's my real problem. I should, you know, get rid of one or two, but the thing is I just can't decide. I definitely don't need them all, but man, they're just too much fun. And they're all different. And usually you wouldn't think that, you know, there's no reason to think that. But, because, you know, to someone who doesn't really know or play or, let's face it, care, a guitar's just a guitar, you know, it's a tool to do the job. You play, what is it? What does everyone play? You play that Oasis song or whatever. Wonderwall, that's the one, you know, get ignored by everyone and just move on with your day. I don't know how to play that song. Got to, let's put these over here. When we cut the strings, you know, to get them off, got to make sure you put them somewhere where you know where they are, because you got to start making a trash pile, really. From there, You start working, you take the top halves off, you unwind them. And here we go. Whoops. Didn't think that one through. Didn't cut the broken one. I thought it's broken, it's already off. But then the ball end can't go through the locking nut, which we mentioned before. So again, if you're not too sure, I'll run through it just because, hell, I had nothing better to do. So you do have your locking nut at one end, and the strings go up into the head of the guitar, and you'll know you have the tuning pegs there, and that's how you tune them up or down, keep them in tune. The bottom of the string will usually have a bit of a ball on it, and that is to keep it in place, basically hooked on at the bottom, so that, you know, obviously the string has tension on it. And that is, of course, oh no, it doesn't really matter for the type of guitar. I was going to say that's so it can hook on, lock on, so that the guitar, you know, the strings don't fly out. This guitar here, it's got a color on it, or Kayla. I just made my own mispronunciation that I usually correct other people on. Kayla is a type of whammy bar, if you don't know. I find it preferable to the Floyd Rose, which is what most people would use. Sorry, I gotta get this back in. Yes. So what I'm doing right now, that you're probably not hearing, is I'm making sure all the tuning pegs on the bottom end. So what a Kayla does is, it's a type of whammy bar, and I find it to be quite good. It keeps the strings in tune just as good as any Floyd Rose whammy bar, which are the two popular brands I said before. Except this one is a lot less fussy, a lot less lower maintenance. Which means you can basically just get your strings on and off, because you'll see most people, they want their sick whammy bar they can do lots of dives on, lots of massive shredding run, and then they all get to the point where they have to change the strings, put new strings on, and then they don't realize the whole mechanism inside, and then, you know, they basically getting the strings out now, you can hear that. They don't realize the whole thing's inside, and then what usually happens is they turn the guitar over or on its side or something, and then all the blocks fall out, all the pieces come apart. I've got the strings on the floor in front of me. Let's see how we go. Luckily, strings, whenever you get them, the balls are usually different colors, so that you know which one goes where, which string. I mean, obviously you could do it with your eyes as well. Go from thickest to thinnest. Thickest down the bottom for the lower notes. Sorry. Thinnest up high for the higher notes. But another good thing to do, you'll hear this, is polish the guitar before we put the strings on, and that's what I'm going to do, because it's always a good idea to make it look as good as it sounds. So what I'm going to do, I've got just honestly furniture polish. It's really good. Like, don't go for a full wax or anything, but if it just says, you know, furniture polish, good for leather, wood, plastic, glass, well, that's pretty much what we're dealing with here. So we're going to give this a rub down now, make it look nice. Hasn't been cleaned in a little while. I mean, I keep things clean. Nothing's ever dirty or looking horrid around here, but, you know, haven't given it the proper love it deserves. It's a good thing I'm checking this out now as well, because I can see where the strap connects to on the bottom here was starting to come loose. And what that would have meant for me is that I would have been playing and having fun, because, you know, you often stand up when you play, and that would have just come flying off me, and that would have gone quite badly. So lucky we got to notice it. We'll turn these up, turn these down. And then that way we can fix it before it becomes a problem while we play. Isn't that good? Love it. Polish it all, make it nice. Give it a good rub down. Hell yeah. And that's just the body, or front of the body anyway. It's good, you just gotta rub it off. Get that nice sheen going. You can never spend too long. I mean, if the paint starts coming off, you know something's not quite right with what you're doing. But other than that, should be good to go. There we go. That already looks quite good. If you want a visual representation, the guitar I'm changing strings on that I like a lot is a black Les Paul guitar, Greco branded, so that's a nice Japanese off-brand. I've got a couple of them. I've got another one that's a rip-off of like a Jackson build. So if you Google up, you know, black Gibson Les Paul, you'll usually find what I'm talking about, because it's pretty much the most popular guitar on the planet. But honestly, I picked this up secondhand, or third or fourth, who knows, it's from the 80s. It's Greco branded, so that is a off-brand that used to come from a Japanese factory during the 80s, the 70s, you know, back when everyone wanted a piece, you know, of the American action, because they were making guitars mostly. And depending on who you ask, people will say that the Japanese rip-offs actually play a lot better than the American ones. And you know what? I'm inclined to agree on this one. There's definitely some bad stuff out there. There's definitely some amazing stuff out there. But for the price point, I paid about 800 Australian dollars, which, you know, in USD is about, you know, 35.50. So it's a good deal. And for that price point, because most of these guitars, especially if they're 30, 40 years old, would go for about, you know, $1,000 or $2,000. So you're saving money, but you're getting the same experience. It just doesn't have the same word on the top of the head. And for someone like me, I think, you know, I don't super care about that stuff. As long as it plays well, that's all that really matters. Because, you know, I'm not much of a collector or a person that fusses about stuff. I like things to use them. Nothing should just be stuck on the shelf. Everything should have its place. Everything should be used. Everything should be enjoyed. Much better than just keeping it locked away. Honestly, I should have had some background music for this sort of stream, but I'm thinking that later, you know, obviously we have to tighten the strings up. We have to make sure they are in tune. We got to make sure everything's good. And we'll need to be able to hear that. So pumping some fresh beats over the top of that wouldn't do. It would not be the most productive thing. And that's this spot needs some cleaning. The head up here, my goodness. That's where all the dust goes. Because the rest of the guitar, you know, you're touching it often. You're always doing stuff to it, with it. But the head, I don't know, especially with the locking nut, you know, because that keeps the guitar in tune, you sort of don't have to worry. And so you don't worry, and you just leave that in. You put it back on the rack when you're done playing. You pick it up when you want to have some fun. And from there, there's not too much to do in between. And so the head gets neglected, and that's where all the dust builds up. But we're taking care of that now. You know, I should change the strings more often, but as I said before, it just keeps sounding so good. It would really just be out of habit, you know, rather than necessity. And that starts adding up. It starts ending up being a bit of a waste of money. Because, you know, if something doesn't need it, why force it, you know? Polish the tuning pegs as well. Every little piece can get a polish to make it look much better than when we started. So as I said, it looks as good as it plays. Love it. If you've been keeping up with the things I'm saying, yeah, we're playing a, you know, black Les Paul here, and it does have the Kayla whammy bar that a previous owner installed. Now, a lot of people would say that is an unholy combination. Pretty disgusting. You ruin the sound. But this Les Paul is built old style. It's one solid piece of wood on the inside, and the Kayla is just mounted on top. So there's only a bit of top routing. It doesn't go all the way through, which a lot of guitars have with their whammy bar. You usually set them up from behind. You flip it over, you take a little panel off, and there's all the insides where you can change the strings. But this one has it all on top, and that allows it to keep all the weight, everything on the inside looking good as new. And that also means it keeps the weight, if I didn't mention that just then. So this guitar weighs in at about 5.2 kilos. And if you don't know about guitars, your average electric guitar weighs in about between 2 and 3, which makes this one a bit of a monster. I definitely like it a lot. You got to be strong to pick it up. Not really, anyone can do it, but you know, I've heard people exclaim when they try it for the first time. They are often surprised because their guitars don't quite match up in that regard. Most people would go for the lightest thing possible so they can throw it around. A lot of older players opt for lighter guitars because, you know, their backs can't keep up anymore, you know, it weighs them down. Some players opt for extra support on the guitar strap, go around their chest a couple times so that, you know, it sits more comfortably. All right, the guitar's clean. I've polished it. I've done a good job. Everything looks and feels nice. It's time to start getting the strings on. So, first up, the 6th string, which we will just tune to E eventually. I'm more of a standard tuning fella myself. You can go kind of crazy in the rock and metal scenes. Oh heck, anywhere really. People love that drop tuning. People are going wild more and more nowadays. Tuning down to crazy lengths. So what I mean by that is my bottom string will be tuned to E. And you can take that down. Most people, or a lot of people now, play in D. Because, again, as we get older, a lot of singers, especially people, you know, like to hit high notes as part of their profession, sort of can't keep it up anymore. Their lifestyle has not allowed them to keep up with the demand that their own music brings. So, as a result, they have to tune down. Okay, well that's in there, fantastic. Let's hope that holds, pull it through. It did not hold. So what we have to do now is we have to bring it back and tighten it up. I usually don't have this problem, but there you go. Things happen all the time. Okay. There we go, it's already making some noise because I'm doing that myself. Okay, let's see how we go. We're having some trouble. Usually I don't have this problem. I wonder why it's happening today. There we go, that's looking good. That's hooked on. You got to get it up from underneath. Oh, it fell out again. You know me, whenever I start talking big, bad things happen. Other than that, this all looks good. We should start winding it up. So now you thread the string all the way through, up through the locking nut, up towards the head. Guitar stays in tune better if you wrap it around the top without the string overlapping at the head. And let's see what we can do, because now we've got to thread it through. So we've got to make sure there's enough room for the string to get through. And there we go. Come on in. Oh, there we go. Then we pull it through. So I've got some, the same pliers that I used to help cut the string will help me now pull it through. Oh, we'll get it going. Yes. There we go. So you want it to be nice and tight as possible, and it's going to look pretty loose at the start, but as we tighten it up, nature will find a way and our problems will sort themselves out. There we go, tighten it through, making it look good. Yes. Not as good as it could be, but we'll see as we go. That's already getting a bit tight there, you can hear that. So we'll see how we go. That's looking a little ugly. I did not do the best job I could do here, but we'll have to see. So it should just go through. What's the issue here? I think I found it. The question is, do I want to fix it, you know? The aesthetics are important. It's got to look good. It just so happens right now that looking good will also help it play better in the future, because you want a guitar that stays in tune. If you can't play anything, you can't do anything. It's useless. So we'll try that again. Maybe one less loop will help everything fit better. So we've got our 1, our 2, our third one here, and let's try getting it in through the back. Where did I set this to? Here we go. Let's get this in. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. And I think this will look much better. Pull it in. Yeah. Pull. Yes. That's doing a bit better. In and through. As we go, we tighten it up. See, some people would stop there, you know. They're like, sounds good. And they get it back out through there. We can do a little more. Still a little low, you know. Now I'm just doing this by ear right now. We'll tune it up properly later at the end, once all the strings are in. So we get rid of all of this. That should be okay. Always bend the string up through the tuning peg at the top so that it doesn't want to come back out. This should be okay. Now this is the dangerous part. This is where I always mess myself up. We're going to cut the string nice and short here. So that obviously it looks good. The tops don't, you know, brush against me while I'm playing. Obviously the problem with that being, if we mess up later, there's not a lot of string to work with. Now what's our second one? We are going for the silver one, number 5. Now this is the one that broke last time through my extreme playing. Yeah, so usually strings don't go rusty or sound bad with me and my playing, because as I said, fortunately I'm not a very sweaty person, but usually they'll just wear out from being too old, being on there too long. They'll wear out at the bottom, at the ball end, and they will just snap right off. And that's still a bit of a nasty surprise, but it's much better than it snapping from the middle. I mean, as always, the stakes are low, there's not a lot of consequences, but we'll see how we go. So as we go, the strings just get lighter and thinner, which means it gets easier to wrap around up the top. I hear people say that if you wrap the strings around, you know, top to bottom, clockwise, anti-clockwise, whatever you're doing, that it goes around easier, but honestly, I can't be bothered doing that. It's a lot harder than it sounds. Well, probably not to people who know more than me, but I find that just wrapping it nice and regular, top, bottom to top, look at that, that looks fantastic. Great job, if I do say so myself. Who did that? He must be a very handsome and skilled man to achieve that. There we go. Now we tune it up a little bit. We'll tune it properly at the end, like we said. Flick this up so that it doesn't want to come back through the tuning peg, because that's annoying in its own right. Stretch the strings out as well, so that they don't want to stretch out and come loose and go flat while you're playing, because that's just as annoying. Do yourself a super cool bend, make a cool sound, a cool note, and then suddenly things aren't happening. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I haven't really checked up, but you know, if there's any audio issues, if anything sounds weird, please speak up. I don't want to just be talking to myself. I am talking to myself, but hopefully you guys are listening in somewhere, sometime. Whether you want to hear me, you're just here because you feel too bad to leave, or who knows? Maybe if I drop dead one day, this will leave a nice audio recording for someone to listen to and cry. Just maybe. Oh, let's not worry about that. Sounds good? Doesn't sound good, but you know, we're making good progress. What I like to do next is I like to go from the top as well. I don't want to put too much pressure on one side of the guitar, because they are actually pretty fickle things. I mean, you can beat them up pretty bad, but you also want to keep them nice, because that's how they end up lasting decades instead of years. So we're going for the gold one next, which is technically the first string. That's something that took me a long time to recognize when I started playing, you know. Obviously on your side, the thickest one comes first, and that's what I would call the first, but everyone else decides that the thinnest one at the top is number one, and that's what we got to go with. That is our terminology. I don't really like doing the thin strings at the top. They usually provide a bit of trouble. They're a little annoying. I don't actually like restringing guitars at all. That's why I usually put it off. That's why I thought I'd do it now and just keep talking while I do it. It's an excuse for a low quality string. It is an excuse to get the job done. And you know, things get worked out. Things that need doing get done. So everyone sort of wins. Nice, this one's looking good. And then on this bend, we will feed it through. Oh, let's do it this way. We've got lots of room. And now we will keep it down, try not to get it tangled. And try not to also thread it through the other strings. Pull, pull, pull. And it looks good enough. It'll only look better once we start tightening it up. So that's what we have to do. Sounds great. Also with a head like this, you know, the Gibson style stuff, or where there's strings on both sides, you have to start watching out, because on the top three, the string's got to be turned the other way to make it tighter. And you know, that's why I was worried before, because you know, when you're trying to loosen them and you tighten them instead, that can make for an unwelcome surprise, let me tell you. Wait a minute, I might just be loosening it right now, you see? It's tricky, it gets to you. Come on, a little more, twist it around. Now we're going. I don't know if you can hear that, if the microphones are sensitive enough, but we're starting it. It's happening, we're twisting, we're turning. There we go, it's coming along. See? I don't know if you can hear that again. There are some people that tune up their strings, they're like, I can't believe this hot anime boy plays guitar, wow. Thank you very much for dropping in, thanks for saying something. I will have to make sure to do the same to you sometime soon, but yes, he does play guitar, wow. I actually started with the bass. So I know how to play the bass, the guitar, and during, recent global events where I couldn't go outside, I also managed to pick up a cheap electric drum kit. So I pretty much got the one-man band going on, and that's, what I intend to do around here once things settle down and I get, into a nice pace. So I'm hoping that, we can make some music and we can play along, we can have some fun. I do try to sing. I like to sing. I love to sing. Thing is, the quality of it is questionable. It's if I had to put it on a scale, you would definitely find me more in the passion end rather than the skill end, Do I play them all at the same time? I'm afraid not. As amazing as that would be, as humorous as that would be, I do not have the one-man band set up. You know the one I'm talking about. The guy is like, the bass drum on his back. His foot has a horn on it. He's playing an accordion at the same time. He's got the harmonica on his mouth. I hate to, let down your expectations, but unfortunately, I cannot do such a thing. But it can certainly sound like that if we lay it all down in a recording, because, it all plays back at the same time. So if you stick around, I don't know if it'll happen today. It depends how much time we have at the end. But of course, you got to play it a little bit to settle the strings in and make sure everything sounds good. So who knows, if you hang around, maybe we'll play some stuff together before I have to scoot off for the day. Oh yeah. I've just put in another string, pulling it through, looks good again. Have to say, it's going well. Now we start tightening this up, we pull it through. Yeah, sometimes if you don't do a good job making sure all the strings aren't tangled and stuff on the inside, you will have them snap back out and you'll have to redo a little bit. It's not the end of the world, but very familiar with passion singing. Yeah, it's a good vibe, I think with a lot of things, I think the world at large may disagree, but you can have a lot of fun with passion. There's a lot of things where enthusiasm and attitude can come first, and they can get you very far. And then skill, well, that'll come later. We can get that anytime. So right now, let's focus on the passion. Very curious about music and playing. Thank you. That's what we hope to do around here, We give them a little taste. We build the mystique, and then we get to going. And if you want to add even more curiosity to it, I don't know what you think about my voice when I speak. I don't particularly think it's a low voice. A lot of people tell me I do have a low voice when I speak, but my singing voice, which not a lot of people have heard because I'm quite self-conscious about it, it's actually quite high. Definitely up a bit. I like not to toot my own horn that barely toots, but I do have a bit of a range, I suppose. But yes, where the heart is willing, the skill can sometimes lack. But yeah, if you're interested in the whole playing aspect of it, just hang around, I guess. Don't block me, I suppose, and you'll eventually hear about it. I like to play. I like to record. I've got lots of ideas. And hopefully one day we'll get them out. And we can all be having fun, singing and playing together. Got to admit, it is a fun feeling when you have a good idea and you can just bust it out, That's sort of why I did it. Learned all those instruments, because, I can decide for myself, let's lay down this idea. It sounds good, I think. And then, hey, guess what it is? And you can jump back and forth between the instruments. You can bust out the drums. You can find out things that work and don't work together. You can go, oh, that did not sound as good as I thought it was going to. And then you can change things up, and it's really nice. And honestly, I would say, day to day in my life, I'm a pretty laid back fella. I think if you've ever seen anything I've done so far, or you're just listening in now, which I'm grateful for, you'll find that I like to think of myself as laid back. I don't want to be an angry person that holds on to things. But where was I going with this? Well, I'm pretty laid back, and it's a good outlet as well for anything you might be feeling. We just want to have a good time. That's what we're here to do. It may come as a surprise, or it may come as, a shocking disappointment. But I do like, a bit of rock music, a bit of metal music, but there's lots of good genres out there. I think that's the sort of stuff I would make if it's left to me. But that's where I was going with this. So I'm a pretty laid back dude day to day. Not a lot of things bother me. But when it comes to music, because I've been in bands before, I think I ended up being a bit of a control freak, I was in a band setting. I've been in bands. Straight out of high school, I joined a death metal band, and that was fun for a bit. But it's ultimately not what I wanted. It's not the sort of music I enjoy listening to and playing. And I also found that I was getting really competitive, and maybe some people would say that's where the good music comes from, when you're competing with each other, when, you're trying to be on top, you're trying to get your material, be the material that gets used. You don't want the other guy's lyrics to come on through. You want them to use yours. You want them to, know that it was your stuff that got done. And, maybe that's a bit egotistic, a bit, I don't know, the wrong side of masculinity, I suppose. But sometimes you can't resist. You want to be the guy, You want to get your stuff out there. You want to be the one who's known and used. So I suppose that's what really started it. Yeah, straight out of high school, got into a death metal band, as I said, and then, it wasn't my favorite. The dudes were nice, as always. You'll always find in more like rock and metal centered communities, the people are very nice and they're very helpful. I mean, if you've seen on the internet, there's definitely elitists online, but I think you can find that in any hobby, any genre around. But if you actually meet them in person, you'll find some very nice, relaxed fellas, and women too, and everything in between. So what you can do instead, honestly, I joined that death metal band. I had a good time. It was good for, a year or so. Then I decided that, it wasn't for me. I wanted out. I wasn't enjoying it anymore, but I felt really guilty, All the strings are run now. This is good. So now we're, I suppose, getting towards the ending stages where we've got to tune it up, stretch all the strings out, make sure they won't come loose or flat as we play. So I did leave that band eventually, naturally. That's why I'm here and not there. Don't let self-doubt get to you. You are better than all the bandmates and you deserve to control everything. Well, here's a little story for you that might shift your opinion even more in that direction. So I left the band eventually. I decided it wasn't for me. It's not what I wanted to do. It's not the sort of people I wanted to hang around anymore. And I felt guilty for a long time, for a few months at least, because, they were still trying to get on. I could see them through social media. We still talked sometimes and, they were trying to get on, find new dudes to join the band and keep playing, even though, honestly, we never got off the ground. We made some music and it was good. As we all have decided before, I wrote quite a bit of it. The drummer was the mastermind, actually. He was he would bring in a lot of ideas and I would use those to work off and make a finished product, which, you know, was very nice. It's very nice to work off other people. But going back to the Control Freak roots, you know, I left that band, felt guilty for a while because they were doing their best. They were trying to do other stuff. But then eventually I get a call from the singer and he's, you know, distraught because he has discovered that the drummer was sleeping with his wife. And did I know anything about it? And I didn't. So I answered honestly and said I didn't know. And that the band was breaking up because, you know, that's quite a thing to have happen. And after that phone call, I think a lot of my guilt just faded away. And I don't really feel too bad about leaving anymore to pursue things I enjoy because, as we know, it didn't go anywhere anyway. And yeah, a couple of them now are off doing their own thing. I definitely know the other guitarist who was way better than me. That was another reason why I didn't really enjoy being there because I joined straight out of high school. I'd played guitar for a few years and, you know, you have that teenage, like, enthusiasm. You have, well, the thick-headedness, I guess, thinking you're sort of better than everyone. And I got into that position where I was playing with other dudes and these dudes were like all in their 30s and stuff, or pretty close to it, and pretty much they just like outskilled me in every aspect. Like the other guitar player, he was just like shredding all day. He could go bananas. I did escape an NTR plot. It was well, if I joined in, I would have been doing the NTR, which I'm still not comfortable with. True love reigns supreme, and I'm not in there to ruin that sort of thing. So yeah, these guys outskilled me massively, and I basically, you know, I was a high school boy that got out there into the real world and discovered that, you know, people were much better than I was. And that kept me down, and yeah, that was part of the inspiration as well. So I spent the next few years, you know, acquiring and learning instruments so that I could follow my Control Freak dreams and make music by myself. And I do think I'm at that point now, so we can start doing that soon. Only reason why I haven't started doing anything like that currently is because, to put it simply, I've started doing all this in quite a turbulent time in my life. Nothing bad is happening, it's just a lot is happening, but I think everyone has their own deal. Everyone's got stuff going on, so that doesn't make me feel too special. And I really thought to myself, like, how long can I keep this going? You know, how long can I keep putting it off? So here we are. We're doing everything we can. And picking up the guitar here because I think it's time to start tuning it good and proper. And we'll pick that up. So yeah, that's led us to now, I suppose, and we're having a good time as far as I know. I'm definitely having a good time. So let's put the old little tuner on. When I first bought a guitar, like, maybe 15 years ago, of course, I said my first instrument was the bass, but when I first got one, someone gave me like a chromatic tuner, which, if you don't know what that is, it basically feels the vibrations in your instrument, in your string instrument, tells you, you know, what note you're playing and if it's flat or sharp. So it helps you get in tune. And I've had this same one for so long, and it's still going, it's still pumping. And I think I've only changed the battery about 3 times. That definitely lowering down. So now we're gonna tune it up a few times because the second we like turn our heads away, it's gonna go out of tune. And this is the part that always scares me. That is right. The best part to do something is right now. The even better time to do it was yesterday. But we got to stop convincing ourselves that we're no good, and we got to get into it. And here I am, you know, being motivational and saying how good everything can be while I'm still here, like, deathly afraid that I'm going to tune up this guitar string and it's going to snap. Like, if you've ever been slapped by a snapping guitar string, you'll know it's actually nothing. Like, the worst thing that happens to you is a small surprise, but I hate it. I hate it, like, full, like, sweaty palms and everything. which is why, you know, I started getting into guitars that lock up in different places and can hold tune for weeks and months no matter how hard you go. And so they've been very good to me, and hopefully I can be good to them as well. They've lasted this long. It would be very embarrassing if I was the owner that messed them up. The next thing is remembering which string goes to what. I think this one's a D. Yeah, could never stop the thinnest string not to snap. That's this one up here, the E currently. So that one is always a bit of a troublemaker, but if you've been listening along, I think my trouble are usually the 4th or 5th string, because they just wear out from my extreme playing. There we go. And now we just think, and there we go. It's not done at all. It untuned itself as soon as we were done. So that's why we got to do it a few times. That's why we got to stretch the strings out. So we'll do that now. There we go. You got to get into it. You got to stretch them out nice and wide. You got to put yourself in a position where you really feel nervous as to whether they are about to snap into your little hand or not. But then once it's done, like it's done, and it'll feel really cool. I like to buy hybrid strings as well. A lot of people recommend, you know, for heavier music, you got to get heavier strings because they make a bigger sound. But, you know, listen to me talk myself up here, but I've got that Eddie Van Halen mindset myself, because he's quoted as saying, you know, I play the guitar, I don't fight it. And I agree with that sentiment very much. I was going off on it before when I was saying that people say you shouldn't put the whammy bar on the Les Paul type guitar. But basically, the sort of people you'll find saying that sort of stuff where things have to be done a certain way, or, you know, you can't do this, you couldn't possibly do that to this sort of guitar, it's, you know, sacrilege. You'll usually find those are the sorts of dudes that are basically talking to you in the guitar shop. They've got nothing going on. They're not about to play any shows. They've got like kids at home. They're accountants or whatever. Which is nothing wrong with that. If you're an accountant, like, congratulations on making it through that sort of school. I'm a bum. Like, I'm a university dropout. So I got nothing going on. Like, my life's good and I have great work. But, including this. Love you guys. But, I'm still remembering which note is which. But yeah, the sort of people who complain about how things should be and, you know, you're terrible for going outside that mold are usually the dudes that have nothing going on. And you know who does support all this stuff? You know, you can go out and find and see that has like crazy setups, things that really shouldn't be done, is all the people who are actually on stage in the biggest bands that are out doing their own thing, doing whatever they want, and everyone's praising them for doing whatever they want. So I think the real lesson we can learn here, and something that I do use in my day-to-day life as well, is that the customer is always wrong, and you got to make sure to tell them that. You got to, that's a little better. That tuning was a little better, but we got to do it again. So yeah, the customer is always wrong. You got to let them know. They don't know what they want. The second you give them what they want, they'll walk away anyway. It's not worth your time. So just live your life, which is what we're all doing here. And just keep living well. If you're still alive, things are going pretty good. That's how I feel anyway. So yeah, this has been pretty good so far. I'm having a good time. I didn't think this morning was going to be so nice. I mean, obviously, nothing bad's going on, but I just thought I was going to be talking to myself, doing nothing. And turns out we're all having a good time, and it is that first step that's the hardest. So hopefully, if I can make a bit of a music preview, record some of the instruments. So I did mention before, I'm in a bit of a turbulent time with a lot going off. I will be moving house before long, but I'm excited for it because I'll be moving into a much better place where I can actually, you know, play music. Because the place I'm currently in is not the best suited for it. We've got thin walls. The neighbors can hear like everything. The neighbors are just making noise all the time. I'm blessed that this microphone is still like too sensitive to even pick up me in the same room, because, you know, things are always going on in the neighborhood. There are no less than like 4 construction zones at any time. So things are wild here. I'm excited to get out, and things are only going to get really cool once we do. You won't even be ready. There's going to be so much music coming at you, because I've got ideas. And luckily, I'm the sort of guy that can remember ideas, because it's horrible when you're like, that was a good idea. That would sound really good. And then you go to lay it down and you go, I've forgotten everything. And thank you for bringing that back up. I'm glad you are a sane person as well. The customer is always wrong. So yeah, hopefully sometime soon, because I can lay down music like any time, because direct input with instruments into like, you know, recording programs is getting better than ever. So obviously you don't have to plug into your amp and use a microphone much anymore just playing at home. No, you can plug straight into a computer, straight into a program, and have it sound, you know, album quality. Technology is just getting better and better. It used to sound trash, but we live in the future and things are going pretty well. No matter what people say, life's good and getting better. So hopefully you guys stick around. Hopefully you give me the privilege of sticking around with you as well. And we can all get on, have some fun. Just stretching the strings out again. I think this will be the last time I have to do it. Yeah, this is going well. Yep. That's all right. If there's ever someone out there with like perfect pitch listening to this, they must be going bananas, because like the notes are not so great most of the time. You ever heard of that? Perfect pitch. It's where a person can just hear any sound and tell you what note it is. Like they'll hear, you know, metal clanging on like other metal and they'll be like, that's a G. I do not have this superpower, so I have to make do. That's sounding better, isn't it? Okay, now comes the part where we play it a bit and we hit it hard, you know. I might actually, before I do anything, grab out a little screwdriver. Thank goodness I have one close. And tighten up this bottom. No, here we go. Listen to my draw here, crazy. But we tighten that back up so that nothing bad happens when we try to play the guitar. So this guitar, the bottom nut's doing all right, just needs to tighten, but the top one, I actually did have to go for a more permanent solution because it was always falling off. And so I had to get out some good old wood glue and stick it back in. And I'm sure a lot of people who know more than me are like, that's a terrible decision. Why would you do that? It's only going to go bad in the future. But you know, hey, it's working out pretty well. So that sounds good. Sounds good. Now we go. It's sort of in tune. We just got to keep playing and mashing it until the strings calm down. They lose that elasticity of being brand new. And we can continue playing. We can lock the nuts back up, which is quite the sentence to say. And then we can get to it. Now I've got other guitars that need this done as well. I don't think I'll be doing that today, but maybe I'll come back another time. That sounds nice. It's always nice when the strings are new as well because they sound so fresh. They really put out a nice bright sound. That sounds good. That's nice. I'm just messing around. I'm not trying to sound cool for the internet. I just want these strings in tune. Yeah, it's good. I'm surprised that, there's a bit of interest in music. Everyone likes music. Don't pretend. I've met like one dude. I knew him in high school and he was like, I think I'm growing out of music. I think I've had enough of music. I think my music phase is over and I don't really want to listen to it anymore. And I said right at the time, as soon as I heard him, like, you're an idiot. It's not really something you grow out of. That sounds nice. That was wrong. Met one guy in middle school who just heard music as noise. That's wild. Couldn't imagine that. Music's like one of the only things I like. If you've seen the channel before, or if you've been doing your darndest to avoid it, so I only really like a few things in life. A few things give me great joy above all others, and that would be music, playing a bit of games, which I do, usually older stuff, and then, hitting the gym as well. As an Australian, you have to do quite a lot to keep up with the other Australians. We are born strong and healthy, and if you're not keeping up the best you can, you will be left in the dust. You got to stay hard to survive. Very nice. Let's try some bending, get it going. I shouldn't play too much copyrighted music, hey? A little bit more. Plus, playing is so much fun anyway, If you don't play any instruments, I encourage you to try. That's why we all learned the recorder in primary school, to sort of set us on the right path, And hopefully we can all get there. Plus, the guitar's not too hard, and education is the best it's ever been in our lifetimes. You can search up anything on YouTube, including me, and you can just find lessons on like anything you want. That's how I've learned a lot of things. That's how I've ended up here now. Thanks to, so many helpful people that'll help you learn anything. I mean, if anything from, music, VTubing, mathematics, you can get anything you want. I should put a bit more effort into the streaming as well. Because if you've seen the videos so far, they're a little bare bones. I'm just getting into it. Should learn about, backgrounds and stuff, logos. we'll see how we go. But I'm just having fun. I think the guitar's sounding good. Thank you. Hopefully it does sound nice, sounds inviting, because if there's a positive reaction, you know, as a human being, my only reaction will be to do more of it. That's all just pretty natural. That's how we all do stuff. So I was apprehensive before, I wasn't quite sure, but now knowing that at least one person might enjoy it, and that's what it's all about. I don't know if they're from songs or if I'm just making it up. There's quite a few things that I have, you know, played and made up. They're just chords. I am being that one guy right now, you know. I'm just doing whatever chords I know at the time because I'm not actually that musically proficient. They always say, you know, there's a joke in music that how do you make the rock guitarist stop playing? And the answer is put the sheet music in front of him. And I used to know, believe me, I used to know how to do that stuff, and because I played, prep yourself for this, I used to play like the clarinet in primary school, and I played the cello in high school. I was the cello guy. Not really. I played it for like a year or two. There were 3 of us at the start. I quit first, and if I may say, I was the best at it. Then the medium range guy quit second, and the worst guy kept it up for like years. And he never really improved, but he did keep at it, which, you know, in the eyes of the school, made him more valuable than us. And that's perfectly fine. They needed a cello, and he was the only guy who was willing to put out cello-wise. So why wouldn't he seem attractive with an instrument like that? And now I'm winding the whammy bar back in, and we're going to see what we can do. So now, if you thought it sounded nice before, we can make it sound even nicer. So you just got to be careful how hard you wind it, because that's the way. You want it to be loose. I'm barely touching it, and that's how we're making this sound. Because if you go too hard, you'll end up here, so you... And that's like half the appeal of these things, where you can like take it right down, listen to that, and then you come back, and it's pretty much good to go. So, yeah, that went out of tune a little bit because I was going pretty extreme, but the main draw of this sort of stuff, and, you know, the locking nuts aren't really back yet. So once we lock those up, we'll be laughing, and we'll be good to go. Got to make sure they're a little loose. Very nice. Look at that. A little bit of tension and it just falls apart. You got to watch out. That's not really anything. Stretch them out, make them work, so we can tune them back up. Sounds like a lot of work, but once you start up, it's all pretty good. Nice, so let's take our little Allen key. And we will tighten these back up. And then, you know, play it a tiny bit more, make sure it's still good, and then wrap up. I didn't realize that this would all be as nice as it was. Who knows? Maybe in the future, we might do a few more of these. You know, there's definitely instrument maintenance I need on other instruments, but maybe doing a bit of practice as well, and just getting you guys to listen in on that might be a bit nice as well. Just stretching these out a bit. They've gone a bit high from the pressure of the locking nut pressing down on it, so we're stretching it out now, trying to get it back to normal, because once you're here, there we go, that looks nice. It's beautiful. Tighten these up a little bit. And that's the best part. You've got on the back of it where the whammy bar is, once you lock up the nut, obviously, you'd think that the only way to tune it back up was to undo it all and to get the top tuning pegs back up, but a lot of whammy bars also have tuning pegs down the bottom, which make it nice and easy to reach and tune on the go, up or down. There we go. This one's a little sharp, as you might have heard. Now it's good, and then we're here. And it'll stay that way, so that's pretty cool. Nice. So that's that then. Luckily I was able to find everything in all my desks and drawers. Get it all together. I think that's the most for that. Everything's looking good, everything's feeling great. So that might be that. I might start wrapping up. I've been very grateful for everyone who joined in, started watching, chatting along. Death in a Vacuum, very nice. Love that name. If I even pronounce that correctly. So a few people have talked to me, and I've been very grateful for the attention from people who know more, who do more than me. But half the battle is pronouncing names and usernames. I've been finding I'm not, hip with the lingo of the kids, and every time I say that, the person I'm talking to reveals that they're like much older than me. But I would say that's the hardest part, is making sure I pronounce everyone's usernames correctly, because it's already hard enough, day to day in real life with people's real names. But hopefully I just get better and better in that. A little more confidence in just throwing out pronunciations. So I'm rambling at this point because we're out of real things to do, and I'm just having fun, which is the whole point, and that's why we're all here. Thank you very much. I'm glad you were here to talk to me. That really boosted up the mood, and I'm happy for it. So grateful to have you, just as I'm sure many people in your life are. I'm just one of many. So with that being said, I think we've all had a lot of fun. I think we'll start wrapping up. I'll be back again. I'll be back tomorrow sometime. I'll be playing a game tomorrow. Maybe some Mega Man. I don't know. Nice guitar, by the way. Thank you very much. If you search it up, I'll put up a picture of it sometime if I can be bothered. As long as that doesn't lead people straight to my house, which I know it won't. But, I've still got that early 2000s or like mid 2000s internet mentality of, put anything about yourself out there and people will just come straight to your house and they'll get you. So we'll see what we can do. But thank you very much. This is my third goodbye, and hopefully it might be the last. Hopefully I might actually go through with finishing. And so we'll be back. But now, thank you very much for the inspiration, because I thought, we would just have some fun, play some games. But now I realize the power that music might be able to have, because honestly, if you know any VTubers or streamers that are doing like rock or metal stuff, I don't really know about them. So if they could be pointed in my direction, that would be nice. It's always good to find more people, because I've certainly seen people online asking for it, but I'm not really seeing a lot of people delivering. So hopefully I might be one of those people that can help them out, and not be the sort of person when they hear it and go, that was terrible. Please never talk to me again. So with that being said, this will be my 4th goodbye, and this is the big serious one where I leave now. Thanks for joining in. I had fun. Hopefully you did too. We'll do it again. Thank you. Bye-bye. Get me out of here.